Hello, and welcome to the Resilient Lineage podcast, where we reflect on the past, anticipate the future, and discover what God is up to today. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Ilo. And
we are in part three.
Yeah. So we are doing a series on the warrior mindset. And this comes from a program within the Navy called the Warrior Toughness, Warrior Toughness program. I don't know if it's a program, but it's a series of teachings and sort of a framework for like how to approach accomplishing the mission with honor.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of walking through each of those things. So if you haven't listened to this series yet, you're going to want to go back. This is, sometimes you can skip around. Mm-hmm. This is not one of those.
Dad said, go back.
Yeah, go back. So you're going to want to listen to episode 85, and then you're going to want to which is lays out the need for the warrior mindset. So there we talk about, and we're looking at this through the lens as believers.
Yes.
And how it's one thing to do that for those of us that are in the armed forces, to have the mindset that's necessary to accomplish the missions that have been given to us. It's another thing to do it as believers.
Yeah.
You're not in the military.
I'm not.
But should you have a mindset that isn't indicative of being a warrior?
And we talked about this, like you use this language, and our natural response, I guess, is one, we don't use that language, and like two, it's kind of hokey, like
it can be.
And so we kind of address that, and like that's not the reality that God calls us to. Like, to be a warrior is not to be a joke. Like, it is a way of life.
Yeah. So you go back, so that's what we cover in episode 85. In episode 86, we talk about kind of there's 4 stages to the warrior mindset. So that begins with commitment, and we lay that out. The importance of being dedicated, determined to honor your relationships, to step forward with, whatever cause or activity that you've committed yourself to. And the idea is, if I throw myself into that, then I'll be, I'm committing myself to what the Lord has asked me to commit myself to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep that locked in. So those are the previous 2 episodes. So in light of that, we are now talking about preparedness.
Preparation. Yes.
And we've got a bunch of stuff we're going to go over here. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, go ahead and do that, because we provide links to our show notes, and we even provide some of the show notes in the newsletter. So because we're going to be going through lots of lists here.
Yes.
Kind of talking about how oftentimes, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about, kind of where we're at culturally with preparation. We're going to talk about the warrior mindset of people who prioritize preparation. We're going to talk about the 7 W's and the effective prep, and how they set up questions that preparation seeks to answer. So there's going to be a lot of good lists here that you're going to want to get your hands on. Okay, you ready to dive into this?
Let's dive into this.
Okay, so preparation. Do you want to read that?
Yeah.
What we're talking about here? Okay.
Preparation honors commitments by embodying a deep sense of duty, ongoing readiness, and a resolve to meet obligations at the highest possible standard.
So I've created these notes.
Yes, I've not created these notes.
Yeah. So you're reading this. When you read that, what were some of the thoughts that came to mind?
I don't do that.
Okay.
Or there's a neglect in that area, to be completely transparent. Because I think in anything that we commit to, because last week it's really easy to commit to something sometimes. But with commitment, there's responsibility, and it's a continual responsibility. It's not this one and done. It's 1 and then 2 and then 3. And I think there's a lot of curb appeal to commitment. And you get to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and usually involves other people. So there's fellowship going on. So I'm really quick to be like, I'm a part of that. Look, this looks like a great ministry, or this looks like a great opportunity, or this would set me up, or this is something that I feel like I need to press into. Like, there's these polls, but with that, there's a level of, one, maybe God's preparing me in preparation before this commitment, but then there's also a preparation you need to have after this commitment. So I guess that's kind of where I can lose, I guess, management. I don't know how to like deeply. I was like, this is going to be a fun one to record because I'm like, I'm not going to lie to you guys and be like,
I do this really,
I do this
really well.
so awesome.
Yeah,
And
I think for me, preparation is one of those things that I've learned to do well. I think I would, so generally, I think most people growing up, right? I think part of a natural step of growing up is you go commitment, or here's the idea, here's the thing I want to do, here's the thing I want to be a part of, and I jump to let's go do it.
Yeah.
And so preparation is this other step that we do along the way. That, okay, well, what is it that we're doing, and what do we need? How do we align expectations? How do we cover down on other responsibilities? How do I set this things well so that I can execute this thing well? And I think that's the piece that everybody has to learn and grow into. And so in light of that, I think there can be when I was younger, I think I believed the common myth that here's something I want to do, and then I'm going to go out and do it, so if I have to prepare, I must not be that gifted or talented at the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like that person gets really good grades. That person gets really good grades because they're smart. That person probably doesn't have to prepare for the test because they're really smart.
And they're just naturally gifted.
Yeah.
At it
So if I have to study for the test, if I have to prepare for the test, it's an admission that I'm not very smart. Or this isn't the thing I should do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turns out that the people who do really well on the tests
are people who study.
Are people who prepare.
Yeah.
You just don't know about it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Or they gaff it off, or they don't share that, hey, this is something that I've been, the way they took the notes in the class leading up to preparation, what they read the night before, what they read before the test, what they maybe were doing 2 or 3 days before the test. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a skill set. So all of these things are a skill set that have to be considered. Okay. Why don't you read that next?
The quote?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It says the data consistently shows that people unprepared for future exhibit specific behavioral patterns, such as chronic procrastination, lack of formal planning, absence of emergency savings, over-reliance on unreliable information and sources, and systematic underestimation of time and financial requirements.
So, with all that said, here's some stats.
Yeah, this is very humbling.
As it relates to procrastination, 94% of people indicate that procrastination negatively affects their happiness, with 18% reporting extremely negative effects. So 94% of people who procrastinate know they are not as happy as they could be. 70% of undergraduate students, which is you.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, are affected by procrastination. Would you find...
I'm there.
You're there.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the next one?
20% of adults procrastinate chronically, while 50% of college students procrastinate consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People underestimate project completion times by as much as 40 to 60%, regardless of their experience level. So if I think it's going to take me 2 days to get a project done, I'm off by as much as a day to a day and a half.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? We've seen that around the house. We bought a house that was built in 1980, and it's a great house, and it was very, very well maintained, but not a lot of kind of aesthetic improvements were made to the house. Yeah. So when we bought it, we just kind of went through this process of making those changes.
And we would do room by room and focus on one thing at a time.
And I inevitably thought I could get stuff done faster than I could. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then this is the second home we've done this to, and I know I grew up in construction, so I know what things usually take and how long they take. But inevitably, like I would underestimate how long it was going to take to get things done.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about finances, right? And the reason why we're going to talk about finances is because money it's a kind of a tangible way you can measure how well people have the mentality of preparing for things.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we're not going to talk about money, but it's just it's sort of a lens.
A statistic.
A lens that which we can kind of identify people's behavior as it relates to how well they're probably building a life that prepares for things.
Yeah.
So 40% of Americans don't have an emergency fund at all. An emergency fund, depending on how you measure that, could be, some say like up to 3 months worth of
income,
like saved money that if I were to lose my job, I could pay the bills for the next 3 months. Go ahead.
24% of Americans have zero emergency savings. That's a fourth.
Yeah. 40% of Americans couldn't cover $1,000 emergency with cash or savings. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. That's like almost half of Americans. I mean, but like that's Americans.
Yes.
That's across all ages. Or is it just adults?
I think it's measuring households.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would be your own household now.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're a college
That's
student
true.
and things like that.
Okay. It says 45% of Americans feel underprepared for retirement, with only 32% of Gen Z feeling prepared.
Which is you, which I wouldn't expect Gen Z to feel very prepared for retirement.
That's true.
I was not thinking about retirement.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
partially because like you're not in retirement yet. So I'm like,
yeah,
if my parents aren't there yet, that's like forever. Sorry.
But the sooner you think about it.
That's true.
And that, anyway, this is not a financial show.
This is an after episode conversation.
Yeah. Find a good financial podcast to get into that. Okay. 76% of Americans believe saving for retirement is important, but only 39% have a plan in place. So it's
like 75% think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I should do that.
And then they don't.
And then 39% are actually doing it. Yeah.
Only 69% of non-retirees think their retirement savings are off track. At least they're aware of it.
Yeah.
But
79% of young adults, that's 18 to 21, which you fit within, have created a budget.
Have never
created a budget.
That's 80%. Of young adults.
So 21% have created a budget. You're in the 21%.
Do I stick by it though, month by month? That's a different question.
Well, that's true.
That's it. Actually, I did not mean to bring that up.
Yeah.
That means I know what we're talking about.
But that's part of learning how to budget.
That's true.
Right? Is like, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Like you don't.
Maybe I overestimated or underestimated how much I spend.
Okay. Common saying within the military. I hear this all the time. Proper planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance.
It's a lot of P's.
It is a lot of P's. By not preparing, and this is what I talk about this where I work. By not preparing, we are giving the enemy an advantage. What I would encourage you to think about is there's an enemy for your soul. So there's things we should be preparing in our lives for trials and storms and difficulties. And by not preparing, I'm giving the enemy an advantage in my life. There's this other quote that we often say in the military: we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our preparation. So I think, I've seen myself do that. Like I'll just kind of wing it. My good intention and my desire will help me, and my talent and my gifting will help me overcome. And it's like, no.
I've definitely walked in that with that mentality going into like a high school test of like, hey Lord, so did not prepare, but I know I got you. So
that, yeah.
I was like, just tell me the letter. Like, is it A, B, C, or D? And then we'll go for it. And then I get like a 42 or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, it's okay, God, I still love you. And maybe I should have prepared more.
Yeah. So preparation is again, it's like, this is such a non-sexy topic.
Yeah.
but it is absolutely critical to how people live their lives and the level of stress and anxiety that they experience. Like just before we hit record, you were going over show notes. I was upstairs looking at stuff, going over some things, and I found this illustration. Like, so this is super fresh. Okay.
He's like, I found an illustration. Yeah. I was like, that's perfect for you.
Yeah. So, okay. So there's this farmer and he's out, he's hiring, he needs to hire a new farmhand. And so he's doing some interviews, and there's this young man, strong, looks like he knows what he's doing. And so he's like, oh, all right, this will be a good interview. Sits down with the young man. He says, all right, so tell me about your credentials, where you been. So a guy kind of walks him through this. And the farmer goes, well, what do I need to know about you? And he says, sir, what you need to know about me is I can sleep through the storm. Which is such an odd response. So the farmer's like, okay, noted. So farmer and his wife talk, and they're like, man, we're really impressed with this young man. But he had this really weird statement. But nonetheless, like, we think he's the guy we should hire. So they hire him. Months go by. The farmhand is great, right? No problems. He's doing the chores that he's been tasked with. He's just doing a really, really good job. One night, massive storm comes through the area. Farmer wakes up. He runs over to the where the farmhand sleeps. Knocks on the door. Nobody answers. Knocks on the door. Nobody answers. Come in. Farmhand is dead asleep. Farmer comes over, tries to wake him up. Farmhand won't wake up. Now this storm is barreling down. Farmer goes, I don't have time to get this guy up. So he runs out, yells at his wife. He says, I need you to go check the shutters. So she runs over to the windows to check the shutters, only to find that all the shutters have been secured. She goes, okay, those are secured. She yells at her husband, I'm going to go make sure that we have dry firewood for the fireplace. So she runs over and finds that there's been a huge stack of dry firewood staged for the fireplace. Meanwhile, the farmer's running out to the barn, and he's like going over a task list in his head. I got to get this ready. I got to get this ready. I mean, and this, storm is barreling down, right? Wind's whipping around, runs outside. He sees that all the hay has been baled and is covered. Runs into the barn, sees that the tractor's been stowed, begins to look around, doesn't see any of the tools, runs into the tool shed. All the tools have been put away. Runs over to the barn that has all the livestock. The livestock are all in, dry, with plenty of feed. And that's when it hit the farmer. This is why the farmhand can sleep through the storm, because he's prepared. And I thought, man, that is like perfect for what we're talking about today, because you're going into a storm. You're in a storm right now.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to tell them?
Sure.
You don't have to.
I can. Okay. Yeah, I'll be vulnerable. So for our audience, if you guys could be praying, I was in a recent really bad car accident. It was my fault, and my car is totaled. So I'm in a pickle. Thank God, like, I'm alive, and thank God the person that was involved is alive. Like, no one got dramatically hurt. But that means I have no vehicle. So a lot of my responsibilities have shifted. Because I have a job, but like now I can't do my job for like however long I don't have my vehicle. So things are shifting. So I am thankful that my parents are in the area, so they're working with me. But if you guys could be praying. Like,
yeah. Well, and part of it, the reason why we bring this up is because you're in a storm right now. Yes. Right. And so it's going to expose the areas where you've been prepared to handle this type of thing. True. Right. And everybody's either headed towards a storm, in a storm, coming out of a storm, right? Like there will always be a storm in life. Yeah. So to what extent are we preparing for those inevitable things that, regardless of what I've committed myself to, like these are my commitments. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I need to be about. There are going to be storms and things that come up that want to get us off track, that don't allow us to execute what we still have to execute. Because regardless, you still have to go to school. Yes. You still have to, you have a wide variety of other responsibilities that some of them you can press pause on.
Others I have to find
can't.
other means.
Yeah, you have
and then reorient my schedule.
You have to keep pressing through it, right? Okay, so in light of that, let's talk about the mindset of people who prioritize preparation, right? That they go like, I'm prioritizing the need to prepare well. So this is that warrior mindset. So the first is the warrior's commitments compel them to prepare. So they take what they've committed themselves so seriously that they know, I'm not going to drop the ball on this.
Yeah.
I am going to prepare. 1 Peter 3:15 says, in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, right? So there's this idea of, I've made a commitment to Christ. Great. That's going to shine through.
Yeah.
And if you've made a commitment to Christ, you live with a hope and a sense of victory and a sense of confidence because of what God is doing in your life. So in light of that, hey, somebody's going to come up to you and go like, this, you're in a storm right now. You're going through something that's difficult right now. Where does this sense of hope come from? You need to be prepared to give an answer, right? So warriors have this commitment that compels them to prepare. Yeah. People who don't prepare either do not feel the weight of responsibility their commitment demands of them, or they only make commitments that demand the least amount of personal responsibility. So they'll make commitments, but it's like it's not a heavy thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like the person that you're like, hey, do you want to go do this thing with one another? And they're like, oh, that's so much fun. That would be great. It'd be amazing. I'll let you know. When do you need to know? I'll let you know. And they never really let you know. And then right before they're like, hey, are we going to go do that thing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus them going like, yes, I can do that, or no, I can't. Right. Yeah. And so they kind of live in this sort of like limbo, wishy-washy place. And I'm not saying you always have to have an answer on everything. As much as that I am saying how much of that is driven by you're not giving yourself you're not fully committed. Or you don't understand the significance of what you just committed yourself to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first, and these aren't necessarily in a particular order. Second, you want to read the second one?
The warrior chooses to prepare because they understand and embrace their limitations. So Psalm 35:1 says, contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me. So that kind of means like people who don't prepare are prone to make excuses instead of asking for help. And I have found myself doing that sometimes.
Yeah.
Or I tend to find myself overcommitting to a bunch of things. And then I either don't have a full idea of how much responsibility that is, or I do, but I don't spend the time doing it because I have so many that I just can't balance it. But
I was recently in a meeting and there's a group of us and we were getting tasked with some stuff. And for everybody else that was in the meeting, it made a lot of sense what the taskers were, but it was for department heads. It was like, all department heads, get this stuff done. So here's the list of things that need to be reported on. And I was looking at that list and I was like, that's all because of stuff that requires like equipment or gear or training, requirements that have to be met or all these different things. That's not the kind of stuff I do. So I just kind of sat in the meeting. I was like, I don't know how much of this applies to me. So after the meeting, I went to somebody who does similar work as I do. And I went to them and I was like, hey, this meeting, they're like, yeah. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be reporting on. Yeah. I mean, I have an idea for the next year, but they want a 36-month outlook, a 3-year outlook. And I don't know I don't know how to provide that. And it was this like, oh, okay, well, maybe it could look like this. And I realized, wait, one, I can kind of shape this however I want because of the position I'm in. But, this psalm is like, the psalmist is crying out to the Lord, hey, there's a responsibility I'm here that I got to carry that I need your help with. And I think the person that's able to either look to the Lord and to others or go like, Lord, I need help with this. Who have you put in my life that can help me come alongside to help me gain clarity on what needs to be done, to help me understand, what my next few steps need to look like. Like, that's all about embracing your limitations. If I don't know, guess what? It's okay not to know. It's not okay to stay not knowing, though. Like, who has God put in your life? So preparation is going to expose the things you don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Third, the warrior reduces their need for external motivations to prepare. I like this proverb. Proverbs 6:6-8 says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest." So it's this idea of like, it's addressing the sluggard, which is a lazy person, right? It's a fancy way of saying lazy person. There's this idea that, hey, look at the ant. They know there's a time to gather, and there's a time to harvest, and there's a time to enjoy what's been harvested. The ant doesn't need to sit around waiting to be told what to do when they already know what they need to be doing. There's this thing we talk about in the Navy, which is like taking initiative, not waiting for a direct order when you know the right thing to do. Like, if you know what needs to be done, just get after it. You don't need to be waiting for somebody to tell you. So there's this mentality then that I don't need some external motivators to start preparing. I know what needs to take place. I know what needs to be done.
Yeah.
People who don't prepare oftentimes look to others to tell them what to do, even though they know what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
And then they'll hide behind that as a reason or excuse.
I forgot. Or,
like, here's this report I have to get done. And you have to get it done every week. Well, but this week they didn't tell me I had to do it, so I didn't know. It's like, bro, we do this every week. Yeah, but they didn't say on Monday that they wanted it this week. It doesn't. We do this every week. It's the same thing with like you and homework in school. It's like, well, the professor didn't say anything about the paper, so maybe it's postponed, it's delayed. It's like, no, like that's what the whole syllabus is for. It maps out when things are due and what expectations are. Yeah. So part of preparation is knowing that I don't need these external motivators to do what I need to do, right? Now, not everybody is in that place, and depending on how we were raised, and there's so many factors that shape how we're motivated. I'm not saying that there aren't any external motivators as much as it is over time. Part of maturation is that the need to have external motivators begins to reduce. Does that make sense? So over time, I do this because this is what is good. This is what's right. This is what is wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
The warrior embraces the responsibility to control the controllable by preparing. So Proverbs 21:31 says, "The horse is made ready for the day for battle, but victory rests with the Lord." So people who don't prepare hide behind the need of guaranteed victory. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
I think I know for me, like there's things I could be doing in times that I don't have anything going on, but then I'm like, wait, I already did a lot today. I could just rest or I could just chill. And it's like, well, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So why don't I like do one more thing or another thing that I know I have to get done? And not necessarily just be in a comfortable position, but get the need done before something else might happen. Which now I know how to prepare for car stuff.
Well, and so like even you, like you and your brother are paying your own car insurance. And I know every month it's like, oof.
It's daunting.
That's a lot of money.
I'm like, oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And so every month that you do that, it's like, oof, that's a lot of money. But then something like this happens.
And I'm like, oh, this is why I have car insurance.
This is why you have car insurance, right? Yeah. So, oof, it's a monthly like, oh, this is expensive, but it's a lot less expensive
if you didn't have it.
If you didn't have it.
And then you have that one accident.
And then you have that,
blows your pocket out of.
Yeah. So this is like control the controllable. Are you in control of everything? No, you don't need to be in control of everything. But like even going back to that farmer's hand illustration, that farmer's hand was in control of those things. Was he in control of the storm? No. Was he in control of when the storm hit?
And he knew his like,
no.
And you could go down a different route. Like he might know his limitations of like, right now, if there was a storm going on, I would be in a hectic mood.
Yeah.
Or I have sleep issues and I know I can't respond through things. So why don't I prepare it because I know my limitations?
Well, so, okay, I'll give you a really practical example of that. Like we like to have people over. We like to host. So let's say we're going to have people over at 6:00 at night. In fact, we just did this last night.
We did.
We had like 45 people over to our house for a party. And it was a great time. So the folks that were first showing up, because they were helping prepare the big main dish, they were showing up at 5:00. So your mom and I, well, like for me, I'm not going to speak for your mom, but for me, I'm like, okay, by 5, they're here at 5. I need to be done with everything by 4:30 because I need that like half hour to just chill. So that when they get here, I can focus on them. Because if I'm doing stuff, if I'm doing all my little taskers and things like that up until 4:55 and they're showing up at 5, then I only have 5 minutes to sort of get my head into a different space. Because I have a tendency to get like tunnel vision and be very, very focused on something. And I know I have to give myself time to sort of get that perspective. Why? Do you know what I mean?
I get that.
So I'm in control of that. I'm in control of knowing those limitations. I'm in control of knowing that's what I have to do. Okay. 5th, the warrior works an intentional process regardless of the difficulty. Proverbs 24:27 says, prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself in the field, and after that, build your house. Right? So it's this idea of you start in one place and then you work your way in to, your own household. People who don't prepare will gravitate towards doing things that are easy first. Not the best place to start, but the easiest place to start.
Yeah. I mean, my college buddies, the people my age, you get your assignments every week. You have a paper and then you have a 5-question quiz. They're both due the same day. And you're like, let me just get the quiz done. And it's like, well, now I have, instead of 5 days to work on the paper, I now have 4 days to work on the paper. And then you have another assignment. It's like, oh, I could get this done. And I think we like instant gratification of getting things done quickly instead of like an intentional process of laying down your thoughts for the paper. Because then it's like, sure, you might have like really good assignments done and then you work on the paper and your paper is really bad. But it's time to submit it. Instead of like laying it out of like, I'm going to work an hour or 45 minutes on this paper every day while also doing these little assignments. That's just that's what I see.
Yeah.
As a 19-year-old student.
So, so I think it's like the intentional process.
Yeah.
What is the intentional process?
6. The warrior anticipates setbacks, problems, and dangers. So Proverbs 22:3 says, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. So people who do not prepare haven't assessed the risk and dangers due to 1, arrogance, 2, lack of experience, or 3, lack of thoroughness. I think that pretty much summed that up. I think you got all the points.
And I think that's the big thing is, and I think that's probably the area I've had to learn to grow in the most is I have a tendency to, put 15 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. Like, ooh, look at more I could do. And some of it is like, okay, as a result of that, I'm not anticipating anything going wrong.
Yeah.
And coming back to working on the house. And so, this is only going to take me 4 hours. And then I get 45 minutes into it and a tool breaks. Or I thought I had all my materials and I'm 2 boards short. So now I got to run to Home Depot and get 2 more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's those things and it's not anybody's fault. It's not because there was anything evil or immoral or any of that kind of stuff done. It's just sort of like, well, guess what? We're all fallible. Yeah. We're all going to make mistakes. And so, or other people are fallible. They're going to make mistakes. They're not going to show up when they said they were going to show up. And there's like, you know, they're not going to provide the resources that you thought they were going to be able to provide. Or, you know, you ask somebody to do something and you thought, man, okay, because they got it, I can focus over here. And then you double back and you realize they did something, but it wasn't the right thing. And it wasn't because they were being lazy. It's because maybe you communicated poorly what the expectations were. And as a result, there's been a lot of time lost, right? So all of that stuff is part of life. And so making sure that I'm anticipating that. So how much margin do I need to create so that, you know, it'll get sucked up somewhere, right? That like, oh, it's okay. Like I planned 8 hours to do this job. So if I have to spend an extra hour going and doing something, it's okay because I planned 8 hours. It should only take 6, but I planned 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then last, and again, this is not an exhaustive list, obviously, but these kind of get us into the mindset of people that prioritize this stuff. The 7th, the warrior prepares in a way that considers the 3rd and 4th order of effect, right? Of their actions. Are you familiar with that language?
Is it kind of like, if I do this one thing, I could probably list the first 2 things that I get in response?
Yeah.
Instead of like also thinking of the other.
Yeah. That will be impacted by that, right? So, again, we're pulling these from Proverbs. Proverbs 20 verse 4 says, sluggards do not plow in season. So at harvest time, they look but find nothing. Okay. So people who don't prepare often neglect to understand the value of the season they are in to supporting the future that they want. I mean, let me give you like super practical on this. Yeah. Like this is so brass tacks practical. Right now, I go to work. Takes me, you know, I live about 40 minutes away from where I work. I have this little office. In my office is a refrigerator. I'm learning. I for whatever reason, I don't like making my lunch. I don't mind eating a made lunch, but the preparation of it is like I feel like I could find 17 other things I'd rather do. Do you know what I mean? In that little 10 minutes, and it only takes me 10 minutes, probably not even that, to prepare my lunch. But I've been trying to get into the habit of preparing my lunch, because if I don't prepare my lunch, I have to do it the night before, because I know me. I have to do it the night before, because the morning of, because I get up at 5:30 in the morning, I'm out the door by about 5:50 to work. And then once I get to work, I have my devotions and things. Okay, so I know this about when I get up in the morning, what is the likelihood I'm going to make my lunch? Slim. Okay, so, which is spot on. So if I'm not going to make my lunch in the morning, then where's my lunch going to come from?
Probably have to eat.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm eating out, and there's 2 that kind of branches off in 2 different directions of unintended impact. One is financial. So now I'm spending money eating out that there's no point in spending that money because I have all the ingredients back home that are much healthier and way cheaper. 2, how healthy is eating out?
Not great.
Yeah. So now I'm eating, not only am I spending money, taking a hit financially, I'm taking a hit when it comes to my physical health. Does this make sense?
Yep.
All because I know I need to take like 10 minutes. If I take those 10 minutes the night before and make my lunch, there's a 2nd, 3rd, 4th order effect to that. That is either going to be positive or negative if I do it, negative if I don't do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that is like such a stupid, small, silly little thing. But I think that's where most people live.
Yeah.
Is how do I master being, preparing at that kind of level on a consistent basis? Okay. So real quick, let me go over this recap. So the warrior's mindset. This is the mindset of people who prioritize preparation. 1, their commitments compel them to prepare. 2, they choose to prepare because they understand and embrace their limitations. They reduce their need for external motivations in order to prepare. They embrace the responsibility to control the controllable. They intentionally engage in a process regardless of the difficulty. They anticipate setbacks, problems, and dangers, and they prepare in a way that considers the third and fourth order effect of their actions.
And I feel like if we nail this, like, okay, all of these are disciplines of like the warrior mindset.
Yeah.
Commitment, discipline. Next week, we're going to talk about execution and then reflection. See, I was getting there. I just had to remember. Okay. That, you know, I find myself, I practice. I'll give you an example. I'm not proud of this example, but I'll give you like a framework. I used to lead a high school girls Bible study, and my preparation into that was slim because I was like, I'm talking to my girls, like I'm talking to fellow peers. Do I need to prepare that much? That's kind of where the thought starts, right? Do I need to prepare that much? And then part of me was like, yeah, I should, because I need to lead the discussion. So I need to have a roadmap of where this should go. Other side of me was like, nah, like they're your friends. So then I was like, some weeks I prepared, some weeks I didn't. So then because of that bled into my academic life. And then that bled into my personal time with God of like, am I preparing for the day? Like, so I'll say like preparation is, it defines your work ethic, because we have different areas and I think we think logically of the same way with different things. But I think if we adopt this, it will allow us to like be more intentional about the different responsibilities that we have. I don't know if that came across like clear.
Well, and I think what it does is it sets up a good ordered execution, right? Like when you go to do the thing you're doing, you've never thought through everything, right? That's impossible, but you've thought through everything you know to think through.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So here's 7 W's that effective preparation answers. So these are a series of questions. You've heard of maybe the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, why. Sometimes how gets thrown in there. Here's the 7, and I think these are really helpful. So if you answer these, it'll help you gain a sense of clarity as to how you need to be preparing for what you've committed to, right? So that you can do the thing that you've committed to. So the first, one is why. Why is this important? If you can't answer the why this is important, then chances are you're going to phone in your preparation. You're going to keep procrastinating on it. Second, who is involved or who needs to be involved? So as I look at what I'm doing, like, who do I need to bring alongside me? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm going to do this thing, and so-and-so's going to help me. Well, have I let so-and-so know? Do they know that? They've said they would help. What has to happen and what will it cost? So in order for this to take place, what has to happen?
Yeah.
Like not what would be nice to have happen, but what is the bare minimum? When is this going to happen? If you cannot articulate, and then also share the second one, where will this happen? If you cannot articulate the when and where of something, then it is you are not mapping out something. You're not preparing. You're just sharing wishful ideas. Do you know what I mean? So oftentimes I'll be sitting in a meeting and there will be lots of ideas going around, and I'll ask the question, well, when and where could we see this taking place? And real quick, you see how either people are committed to the idea, or if they're not, to what extent they'll lock into that.
Yep.
So if they are committed to it, they'll go like, wow, okay, well, next month, maybe on the second week, we have a little bit of a gap. We could do it there. That would make a lot of sense, but so-and-so wouldn't be available, or they would be available. Other times you see like, well, when and where are we going to do this? Well, I don't know. The calendar's super full. It's hard to say. And it's like, okay, then in that moment, I just know that we're not actually talking about something we're going to do. We're just sort of throwing around ideas. The sixth question is, whom will this affect? Whom will this affect? And if I do not understand who this will affect, then I probably need to revisit why this is important. And if the impact of this is just for me, then I might need to rethink through what my commitments are. Are my commitments only to myself? Or are my commitments for God's kingdom, for his purposes, which will always have an impact on others, right? So whom will this affect? And then the seventh is which is which course of action will I choose, which implies you've come up with a few courses of action. You don't just have one plan. There's maybe 2 or 3 different ways you could see going about doing this. And so which of those are you going to choose? And if you can't think of 2 or 3 ways that this could happen, then you probably haven't thought deeply enough about what needs to take place.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, the 7 W's. Why is this important? Who is involved or who needs to be involved? What has to happen and what will it cost? When will this happen? Whom does this affect? And which course of action will we choose?
And make these attainable. Like, don't make this like, oh, if only I was in this season, then like I'd have everything together. It's like, no, there's a way to do it right now. And it might not seem all glamorous or all exciting, but it's the way
it's never going to be glamorous or exciting. And that's the thing is that the way we tell stories, we generally skip the preparation piece, right? So even when you watch a movie or a TV show, there's like, you'll have the show and everything's fine. And I'll just give you a typical narrative beat. You have a show where everything's fine. Life is good. Here's the characters. Something bad happens. Something bad is threatening the characters. And then the characters discover a way that they're going to overcome the trial and tribulation that's facing them. And then they'll show you like a 90-second montage of them preparing for battle or war or preparing to overcome this thing of, if you're watching a movie about college kids, they're studying and it's this 90-second montage of them preparing. And then it's them executing for the next 30 to 90 minutes, right? So we're heavy on the where do the commitments lie? How are the commitments threatened? Really short in how we tell stories on preparation, because this is the least interesting part of the warrior mindset. But it is the most critical part in setting up faithful execution. Because if you skipped this, then you will consistently be selling your commitments short, which I think, having been a pastor for over 26 years now, one of the things I consistently see is that people are not living to the full measure of victory that God has in their life, not for lack of Bible knowledge, not for lack of church attendance, not for lack of being in, good relationships with others. It's because they consistently do not prepare daily for the war that God has them in, right? Are they in their word daily? Are they managing their finances appropriately? Are they praying as they should? Are they practicing generosity as they should? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what are they, I'm going to teach this class, this Bible study class. Okay, well, what hour of preparation do I need to do in advance? Well, it only takes me 15 minutes to read through the leader's guide. Okay. It's a guide. It's a leader's guide. It's not all you need to know to lead, right? So like just those type of things. Yeah. And I think the more we sort of focus on preparation, the more like we'll be able to fully face what's in front of us, regardless of what the enemy does. I was thinking about it. It's not in our notes, but we'll wrap up with this. I was thinking about this whole idea of preparation in light of Jesus's ministry. Because you have him, he comes onto the scene and he's doing all of these amazing things, and his notoriety and his fame is growing, and the power that is flowing through his life because of the work of the Holy Spirit and his submission to the will of the Father is like undeniably having an impact within the region. The lame are being healed, the blind are seeing, people are hearing the gospel preached, the demons are being cast out, and people are being set free. Like all of these incredible things are happening. Despite all of that amazing stuff. And again, this warrior mindset is a cycle, right? So this is a cycle. Like I have a warrior mindset. I need to have a day. And it's like, I go through each, what do I need to commit myself to do today? How am I going to prepare, execute, and then I'm going to reflect at the end of the day, right? Or it could be a month or a quarter or a year or in the last 5 years, whatever it is. What I find interesting about Jesus' ministry is, where do you find him the night he's going to be betrayed.
He's praying.
He's praying in the garden. He's preparing for what he's about to face. And he looks at his disciples and says, join me in preparing for this.
Yeah.
Through what? Prayer. And he says, Lord, if there's any way, Father, if there's any way this cup can pass from thee, if there's any way I don't have to do this next thing, which is the whole reason why he came, then let's bring out that plan now, right? Nevertheless, what does he say? Nevertheless, not my will,
but your will.
Yeah. And so he's in this place of like, even up to the very last moment when he knows he's going to have to face the cross, Jesus is preparing. He's preparing his heart to execute on that commitment to do the will of the Father. Right? So this whole like mindset is something that is wrought with, it's deep within Scripture. And I think for a lot of us believers, this is an underformed part of the way we are ordering our lives. Yeah. This is great. Okay, so we've talked about the warrior mindset, right? Episode 85. We talked about commitments. How do we honor that?
86.
Now we talked about preparation. Next time we're going to talk about execution. How do we do this? How do we do this well? So stay tuned
for next week.
Yeah. Glad you guys joined us. You can follow us on all the things that are out there. We would love to be in touch with you. If you have ideas or you have any ahas, we'd love to hear from that. We've even received some text messages and emails recently, some conversations that we've had with some folks based upon our last series, which was the Tabernacle series. So we welcome those kind of inputs. We'd love to hear from you on that. Yep. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you guys. We're glad you're going on this journey with us, and we pray that you go with God
and be at peace.